If you enjoy going to the Lake Placid Center for the Arts, expect some big changes in the months ahead. The building housing its theater, gallery, and education spaces will undergo a complete renovation. With this in mind, the current show in the gallery ponders the concept of metamorphosis. More than 50 artists from 9 eastern New York counties have contributed works to an art exhibit you might find transformative.
We wanted to do a show on the theme of metamorphosis because we just recently had our 50-year anniversary and realized that we must renovate our facilities. They're at the end of their useful life, having been built in the 70s, and so now is a moment of change. This themed juried show will be the last juried show in this particular gallery space before we renovate. So we're inviting our regional artists here to participate in this moment of metamorphosis. There's a piece in the show called Daphne by Sue Burdick-Young, and I find it really fascinating because it captures this moment of very dramatic transformation from Greek mythology, where Daphne is being pursued by Apollo, and to escape his pursuit, she begs her father to transform her into a laurel tree. The sculpture is this moment of movement and drama where she is becoming a tree. So it's really beautiful to see this moment captured through the sculpture.
My piece is Adirondack Down Becoming. And it's a piece about the Adirondacks and how they were formed. It's one of the oldest rocks on Earth, and yet it's also one of the younger mountains on Earth. And then I got very interested in it, and I started researching a little bit about it, and it's formed by a dome. It's a hot spot in the Earth's crust that is pushing up, and it's made out of ancient rock. And then as it comes up, it was basically glaciers and erosion, and that's how we got the Adirondacks. But I think there's like some energy, there's some real, I don't know, something special about the Adirondacks, and maybe even a little mystical, and you feel that living here.
I wanted to make an image involving moss covering a person, but I wanted to protect her face, so I brought along some high-tech equipment, an old t-shirt, which we covered the parts of her face with that were going to be covered with moss and the dirt that clings to it. And she's got great eyes. And so that one eye peeking out there, the whole thing shows a kind of emergence. There's a couple of thoughts that sort of universally come to mind when we think of metamorphosis, and the metamorphosis that most people think of is the butterfly emerging from the pupae, which started off as a caterpillar. And this photo reflects that kind of emerging.
Each of the pieces is so different. and the type of interpretation of Metamorphosis is different. So it really feels like you have to spend a little bit of time in front of each piece to get a sense of what journey they're expressing. And I love that because it really takes you somewhere else. It feels like you're going on the transformation with the artist.
The piece is named Gothic Evolution, and a lot of my work, I start out with a general premise and then it kind of makes it up as it goes along. I don't always have a great idea of what I'm going to get once I start. And I remember when you walk along the trails and you see the rocks that have the trees that have kind of like split them open and they've grown straight up. And I kind of like, in a quasi-surrealist way, when you look at the rocks, you start to see faces because you see faces and everything. So the face started to merge out of the rock in the process. I kind of look at like, the superimposing, trees with columns, they, have that vertical similarity, and then the transformation, or in this case, metamorphosis, as they kind of come up and change. In some cases, the columns, they just emerge from the piece rather than, well, I'm planning this part and I'm planning that part. And so when I kind of like reflect back on the work, the experience of making the work was really satisfying for me. So therefore the piece is a satisfying work for me.
In this final juried show in the gallery, as it is now, we will explore the theme of change, and then the next time we have a juried show in this space, it'll look very different. Since our facilities were built in the 70s, where ADA compliance was not a thing, we must make our spaces accessible, including elevators, etc., making sure that all of our patrons can get to all of the places of the facility. We'll have a brand new theater to bring even more artists to the community, and the gallery space will give a lot more possibilities for how we display the art. So the quality of our display will finally match the quality of the art that we get to show. And also, having more sustainable facilities and building practices will be so key to creating the lasting art center for the next decades to come. There's a piece in the show, Glowing Evening Sky by Jeremy Reel, that looks so much like a moment when I'm driving home from work and I look up to the horizon and it's this gorgeous sunset all of a sudden. And it makes me think we get so caught up in our day-to-day challenges, but then you look at what's happening in the natural world around you and you realize how beautiful it is and how there are these miracles happening around you every day. It inspires me to focus on some of the things that we're working on as part of our renovation project to make the Art Center a more lasting place for future generations, to try to make it sustainable so we can keep on going alongside the landscape that we're in. I think this is a great show to come see because it shows so many different perspectives about change. And within that, I think it also addresses challenges. And that's one of the wonderful things about art, is that it can provide you ideas for how to make it through the challenges in your life, and to feel a sense of a light at the end of the tunnel, and a sense that you're not alone, that all of us go through change and transformation and challenge. And there's beauty in the struggle and in seeing how others get through their struggles.
You have until March 1st to see the Metamorphosis exhibit at the Lake Placid Center for the Arts. The gallery is open Thursday through Saturday from 1 to 5 p.m. And as for the renovation, construction is planned for this fall with a grand reopening set for the summer of 2027. But programs for the public will continue during the renovation. Head to lakeplacidarts.org to learn more about classes and shows.
Spotlight is supported by the Glenn and Carol Pearsall Adirondack Foundation, dedicated to improving the quality of life for year-round residents of the Adirondack Park.